is the Ridiculously Amazing Insurance Agent podcast hosted by me, Kelly Donahue-Piro. This show is for growing agencies looking to maximize their biggest investment, their people. We mash up our 3-minute videos from the previous week, all with tips on how to be ridiculously amazing at insurance sales, retention, processes, marketing, running in an agency, and time management. If you want them daily, like us on social media as they're posted. But let's get started.
Hey everybody, it's Kelly Donahue-Piro here, and we're here with the 4 things you should never hear in an agency. We've got my customers, I'm busy, let me shop you, and that's not my job. We're gonna break all these down in this mashup. So without further ado, let's get started. My customers, I hear this in many agencies, but the reality is that they're the agency customers. And in this 3-minute video, we're gonna walk through why that's so dangerous and some common side effects from the comments of my customers. Hey everyone, it's Kelly Donahue-Piro here, reporting from my office, which is crazy because I feel like I've been on the road nonstop. So 2 days in my office still feels luxurious. But we're going to talk this week about 4 things we should never hear in an agency. Yet we hear it all the time. So what are we going to do about that? We're going to go through a couple items, which let me pull up my handy dandy list. First up, my customers. Next up, I'm busy. Let me shop you, and that's not my job. So today's video is gonna focus on the first one, my customers. This one is one that particularly just gets me kind of cringy. Like I've had to bite my tongue in many meetings as I hear this. So a lot of times the my customers comes in response to different strategies that we have with agencies. Such as, my customers don't have bank accounts. My customers don't want to have EFT. My customers really care about price. And I'm always sitting there thinking, I'm like, out of all your customers, your 1,000 customers, how do they all feel the same way? I don't feel the same way as my family most of the time, let alone 1,000 people. And what we're really saying is, I don't want to. I wouldn't get on EFT. I wouldn't put telematics in my car. And those are really dangerous statements. The reality of the situation is they are not your customers. They are the agency's customers. And the agency has to think about all the thousands of customers, not just your customers in the way that your customers want it. In fact, a lot of times we do the my customer thing. We're holding on to customers that we may not even be profitable. We're shopping them all the time. We're taking payments all the time. We're doing all of these things, and the value that they see in you is either price or that you're jumping through hoops, which means that when we say yes to this one over-serviced customer, we say no to being able to review an under-serviced customer. And so my customers is such a dangerous statement in the agencies that we're trying really hard to break people of that. The reality is the owner owns the book of business, and we need to operate underneath their guiding principles. If you want it to be your customers, then you can go own an agency, in my opinion. But the reality is that the definition of good service must come from leadership. It can't come from each individual customer, and it can't come from each individual agent. That is clearly how we're going to lose this game. The idea is that people can't customize their service. We have to do things at a scalable level, otherwise we'll never survive. The things you did in the beginning of being an agent have to be burned off under the idea that someday you'll have 1,000 customers potentially, if not more. So your number one goal has got to be to not say my customers, say the agency's customers. And for almost all of us in insurance, we're here to execute the vision and the mission of the agency, not individual standards. And that's our 3-minute video today on one word we should never hear in the agency, which is my customers. They are the agency's customers. And if they are yours, then you've bought them, and then you can do as you please with them. But if they're not, we have to follow agency process, procedures, and standards for true ultimate success as a team, as an agency, and as a collective. We'll see you in the next video where Heath Sharon will talk about the I'm busy word. See you soon. All right, in this next video, Heath Sharon's going to talk about why I'm busy is not a good statement. You've all heard me talk about it, so we're going to let the mayor take this one over and explain why it's a dangerous term in an office.
Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? It's the mayor here, Heath Sharon, and also performance coach at APP with another 3-minute video. And I'm glad that you guys are here today. And this week we are talking about the 4 phrases that you should never hear in your agency, but yet we all know we hear them all the time. And some of these phrases that we hear are a real struggle for certain people. and they may just not realize, how it's affecting other people and how it comes across to a manager or another teammate. And the one I want to tackle today that we're going to discuss a little bit more is I'm too busy. I have too much going on. I can't do it. But I have to come back, and this is something I've struggled with in my own life early on in my career. And it's something that a lot of you might stress out with. And I have to come back and ask, are you too busy because you didn't prepare for that moment? Or are you too busy because you were spending time at the water cooler or in the hallway or in another teammate's office figuring out the latest gossip or hearing about what's going on in the world or in Ukraine or whatever's going on? Are you too busy because of that? Or are you too busy because you truly do have a lot on your plate and you're very productive in your day and you just haven't raised your hand to ask somebody to say, hey, I'm really struggling here. I'm falling behind on some tasks. Can you help me out? If you're working in a team environment, you should feel comfortable to be able to raise your hand if you truly are productive in that situation. Busy could be an excuse for not performing. We want you to be able to be more productive than busy. Busy is running around at the last minute, doing things you weren't prepared for. Busy is, I know I've got a stack of things to do, but I want to be involved in the latest gossip around the office, or I want to, check out the latest Facebook feed, or I want to do this or that, but I did not plan for those things properly, or it's not during the right time frame. So again, busy versus productive is two different things. If you have prepared properly for your day, maybe you time block 5 or 10 minutes to step out in the hallway and talk to a friend or catch up on the latest gossip or read your Facebook feed or whatnot. If you are busy, then you don't have time for that because you haven't prepared and you're a procrastinator and you're waiting to the last minute. You're running around like a chicken with your head cut off. I think there is so many different things there. But again, going back to the philosophies that we teach in our time management course that we are launching coming up soon, we talk about some of these things that you may or may not have been through, but we talk about having your emails under control. We talk about having your activities and your tasks under control. We talk about different strategies, time blocking, and other things to be more productive in your day instead of busy and to free up more time. Sometimes you got to slow down to speed up. But once you get those things lined out and things knocked out, then you have more time in your day to be productive and you don't feel so rushed and busy. You could be busy in the moment, but I think if you could get to that time place where you can raise your hand and say, guys, I'm struggling on this, or team, I'm having a hard time, or go to your manager and say, hey, right now, I need some help on this. And maybe you could ask for an extension on something. But you've got to be comfortable enough to be able to raise your hand. And you also have to be able to slow down, to speed up and catch up on some things. Maybe, you need to do a time block in your day to catch up. Or maybe you spend a day doing some of those things so we're not busy in the moment. Guys, I know this is a lot, and I've talked a lot on this, but this is something that I really think that we could tackle in our agency and some of the things you should not hear in your agency. So let's think about these things and let's go through that. This week, we've got a lot we're going to be throwing at you, and I really hope that you get a lot out of it, and I look forward to talking to you on the next one.
Hi, everyone. Kelly Donahue-Piro here. Glad that you've been enjoying our 3-minute videos. I want to stop and just talk to you for a second about your retention rate. One of our top blogs is how to calculate retention, which you can do a quick Google search and find. But it's more than that. It's how to stop people from canceling, how to make our jobs easier. And don't get me wrong, I don't think anyone's ever really come out in personal lines and small commercial and given you a good plan. So it's not your fault if you're struggling in this area or you're thinking it's all price, it'll change. A lot of times in agencies, we find that without a clear strategy, we're sort of just bumping into things hoping for the best. And what I've learned in my time in insurance, which has been over 20 years, hope's not a strategy. So let's take a little different direction. Take a look at our agency performance pack. For $245 a month, you get all of our trainings and you can actually cancel anytime. which means that you could get our renewal review course all recorded online with our workbook and all of our resources and use it for a couple months and say, we've got it, Kel, and be gone. But we also have another course on how to reduce remarketing and boost retention, which is all about how to have a conversation on rate. You're going to find in these videos, we talk a lot about how we can't be scared of rate, that we're worth a little bit more, but we have to learn how to talk about it. And that's what this course is going to do. So if your team is craving understanding how to have a better time, how to have their clients have more fun, how to, go ahead and delight them and make them raving fans and have ridiculously amazing service, we've packaged it all up here for you. And listen, $245 a month to get all this, it's great. And we add a new course in every quarter. In fact, our last course was all about time management. Who couldn't use more time in their day? And our next course coming out July 2021 is actually going to be on how to overcome the top 10 objections. Your staff is your agency's biggest investment. So what are you feeding them to keep getting them to be the top team in the country? If you're not sure, check out this solution. I think you're going to like it.
Let me shop you. This sounds so common, right? Let me shop you. That's a service we offer. We're an independent agency, but it has some negative downsides. I want to walk you through in this video how we change shop to review and the power that can have with your team and your customers. So this is one of the 4 things I hate hearing in an agency, but I do hear a lot. And this one might sound, you're like, Kelly, what are you talking about? Why would this be such a big deal? Well, it's let me shop you. Let me remarket you. And the reason I cringe when I hear this is that that's not our number one goal. We should replace remarket or shop with review. Let me review some items and get back to you. Because we might be looking at applying discounts, a credit rescore, a replacement cost estimator, although that may not be helpful today in this marketplace. But the idea is that when we say, let me shop you, we train that client that they can call every time, hit the easy button, and they get a lesser rate. When reshopping is actually very delicate, it can flag inspections, it can open up E&O issues. It's very time consuming. The best thing that we can do is review the client and find out if there's anything else we can do before we approach a reshop. Now, we want clients to spend time with us, especially if they have rate vulnerability. So we also want to go ahead and scrub that application. When we go ahead and make some updates, we find all sorts of new things that we can work on and work through. So the bottom line is this, is that when we start thinking, let me shop you, let me shop you, let me shop you, you have to think you're feeding the monster and you're getting that in people's heads. And what happens a day where you have nothing better? Do they go shop you and leave you? The answer is most likely yes. So I'm going to shop you is a dangerous word. All we have to do is replace with I'm going to review everything for you and get back to you. A simple word flip. And remember, words matter. Words matter greatly in how we speak to customers. So if you can go ahead and work through changing up your vocabulary to review, that way when you get back, if you have nothing better, you can recommend telematics. You can talk about increasing the deductible. You can talk about all those other things, discounts that maybe they weren't interested in, but upon a review, that's their best interest. When we go to reshop, you will find you're backlogged on your work all the time and you're causing yourself more headaches and problems. And it doesn't always make the client happy. And in fact, many times the client doesn't even take the reshop because they're just like, oh, I'll stay where I am. So limit your remarketing and don't use that verbiage with a client. Instead, say you're going to review and get back to them. You might be surprised at how the tunes changed and how much more power and control you have over really guiding that client to what's in their best interest. All right, our final one is that's not my job. How deflating is that? If it's not your job, whose is it? And is it really not your job? The mayor, Sharon, will break up why that's not my job is a dangerous term to hear in any agency.
Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Here with another 3-minute video. I'm Heath Sheeran, performance coach over at APP, and we're talking about 4 phrases that you shouldn't or don't want to hear in your agency. And we've already been through several of these, and today we are going to be talking about one of the phrases that we hear a lot and you should never hear in your agency. That's the phrase of "that's not my job." And that becomes a sticky situation because, number one, it should be laid out at the very beginning in your job description. And as a manager, or if you're the person watching this video that has this feeling or you've heard this before, you should always be able to refer back to that job description. As a manager, you should be able to say, here's your job description, clearly defined, here's what your job is. If it's not, in your job description and it truly is not your job, so to speak, and you need to find out, you should be able to ask and say, if not, then who? Then you should be able to go to a manager and they should be able to tell you who that job description is. Now, we also at APP teach the premise of raise your hand. Again, we talked about this a couple of days ago when we were talking about being too busy. And so we want to talk about that here as well. If you get into a situation where you're not clear, raise your hand and say, hey, I'm unclear. That's not in my job description. Whose job is that to do that? And make sure you can redirect them on who to go to, who to delegate that to, who to task that to if we're working out of our management system, which we all should be doing. Who do we task that to at that moment? The other thing that we talk about is being a team player. And why is this not something you should be doing? If we're all operating as a team mentality and everybody's got their activities up to date, everything is going on. If you've got the time in your day and you've got the things going on, should you pick up and say, yes, I can handle that, or get the ball rolling for someone else and then, task that, or figure out a way that you could roll up your sleeves, so to speak. I don't have sleeves today, but roll up your sleeves and get some of that done. Why is this something that you cannot help with? So again, we want to make sure that is not a phrase that you hear. That's not my job. We should all be team players. We should all want to help one another out. But again, it all begins with day one of your job, going over your job description and laying that out of what that is and what you're supposed to be doing. And then being familiar with everybody else's job descriptions and what that looks like, and being able to find out if it's not you, then who. And then, like I said, the last thing would be, we should all be team players. Why can't you pick this up? And if there truly is a reason, then be able to raise your hand and say, I cannot get to this, and find out whose job that is. I hope this helps. Look forward to the mashup tomorrow where you're going to hear about all of this. And I can't wait for you to hear that and check that out on our YouTube channel. Thank you very much. Talk to you soon.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for being part of our 3-minute videos with 4 mashups on 4 common phrases we hear in agencies that we just simply shouldn't. We'd love for you to subscribe and like our podcast and our YouTube videos. We do this for you. We don't have any sponsors for a reason, as we just want to be organic content, right, that can help agencies. So go ahead, leave a comment, or send us a tip that you'd like us to cover in our 3-minute videos. We'd be more than happy to do that. We'll see you all soon.